Hey, what is up, mortals? It is AvirVA here with a new video for you. In this video, we'll dive into Asuka Lonely Soryo from Neon Genesis Evangelion. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying just sit back and relax, cause you're in for a treat. So let's get started. Neon Genesis Evangelion has multiple notable characters, with Asuka Lonely Soryo playing one of the leads. She is a hot-headed tsundere who constantly fights with Shinji and gives Rei the cold shoulder. Despite this, she is still incredibly popular with fans. Alongside Rei, she is the poster girl for the series. Let's find out why. Unlike Shinji and Rei, Asuka is not present in the anime until episode 8. Despite showing up late in the story, that does not make Asuka any less prevalent to the plot. The first mention of Asuka is through a phone call that Gendo receives when he is informed that EVA Unit 002 is being transported to NERV headquarters. Misato takes Shinji, Toji, and Kensuke, who has a camcorder, on a helicopter to meet and pick up a new German pilot, Asuka. Their first interaction with her is violent. Toji's hat flies off, and Asuka stops them. When Toji attempts to retrieve it, the wind blows her skirt up, accidentally flashing the boys. She slaps all three of them and gives Kensuke a black eye when she hits a camera lens. When introduced to Shinji, she says he is dull. Misato's old flame, Kaji, joins them as Asuka's escort, while Misato is less than thrilled to see him again. Asuka is smitten and admires him greatly. She mentions to him about Shinji being dull. Still, despite no combat training, Kaji informs her of his impressive synchronization rate with Unit 01. Asuka is shocked and wants to impress Kaji as well. She takes him to the boat, transporting her EVA, Unit 02, and brags about its production. It is a newer model, more advanced than Unit 00 or Unit 01. During this, an angel attacks and damages the ships accompanying them. Unit 02 can carry 2 pilots, and because Asuka wants to show off, she forces Shinji into a plug suit to pilot with her. Unit 02 has trouble starting up due to the language barrier. Asuka demands Shinji to think in German but eventually changes the language to Japanese, which she is also fluent in. The fight against the aquatic angel is perilous, since Unit 02 was not designed to go underwater. The 2 pilots struggle to fight off the angel until Misato comes up with a new plan. Asuka and Shinji work together to force Angel's mouth open, which allowed the battleship to shoot their guns into it and self-destruct. After this fight, Ritsuko observed that Asuka and Shinji's sync recorders were broken when they worked together. Asuka surprises the boy when she arrives to join their class, right after Toji had said he was glad he would never have to see her again. She makes a big impression on the student body, becoming popular, and receives several love letters, all of which she stomps on. The main reason for them is the photos of her underwear, taken when her skirt flipped up on the boat, and Kensuke and Toji sold them behind her back. Asuka is interested in meeting Rei, calling her the first child. She immediately introduces Rei and offers to become good friends since it will be convenient for their missions. Rei simply tells her that she will if she orders to. When the subsequent angels attack, Asuka and Shinji are sent to fight it in their respective EVAs. Asuka ignores the order to cooperate while taking it down and cuts it in half by herself, wanting to impress Shinji. Unfortunately, this causes the angels to revive as 2 separate beings. The angels defeat them, and the 2 bickers about which one was at fault and causes them to fail. Shinji arrives back home at Misato's apartment, only to find out that Asuka had moved in with them and taken over his room. She complains about her living situation until Misato explains why they live together. To defeat the angels, they need to fight in coordinates together again. To best achieve this, they will live together and do everything together. They successfully synchronize. for most of their everyday actions, but fail to do so when they play Twister and mirror each other. Misato asks Rei to try the game with Shinji out of curiosity. Rei and Shinji synchronize perfectly during the game, which upsets Asuka. She runs away crying and vowing to get them back for humiliating her. The next night, before the battle against the angel, Misato stays behind at work, leaving Asuka and Shinji alone in the apartment. She takes a shower and comes out in a towel, telling Shinji they are the only two in the apartment now. After getting no reaction from him, she angrily storms into Misato's room to sleep by herself. Later in the night, she sleepwalks and sleeps in Shinji's futon with him. He debates kissing her, but relents after hearing her cry out for her mother in her sleep. The school class plans a field trip to Okinawa, and Asuka takes the opportunity to go swimsuit shopping while dragging Kaji along with her. She becomes angry after learning that the pilots have to stay behind in an angel attack. Misato tells them they need to study to raise their grades, so the three head to the pool to learn. Shinji ends up being the only one studying while Asuka and Rei swims in the pool. Asuka approaches Shinji and aggressively flirts with him, showing off her body. They discuss what he is studying, and it is revealed that Asuka had already graduated from college. She is only doing poorly in school due to not reading kanji and having trouble learning it. After more flirting and no reciprocation from Shinji, Asuka becomes flustered and calls him boring. When she noticed him watching Rei, she again tries to get his attention by diving into the water. The next angel is located in an active volcano, but has yet to hatch and is still embryonic. Gendo plans to retrieve it as an egg, but the mission will be risky and could end up with an end of humanity. Asuka initially volunteers to be the one who brings it back and turns it down. She learns that she and Eva will have to wear protective gear similar to a fat suit. This protects her from the extreme temperature inside the volcano's magma. Rei attempts to volunteer instead, but Asuka changes her mind and takes on the mission, not wanting Rei to outshine her. Asuka is plunged into the volcano after telling Shinji, again, to watch her. The Eva heats up immensely, and his progressive knife snaps off and is lost to the magma. Asuka spots the angel embryo and successfully captures it in the cage, but it hatches before the surface. The angel attacks Unit 02, and it is a struggle to fight it off. It takes Shinji's progressive knife thrown down and Unit 02's coolant tube to use to take it down. Asuka ends up needing to be rescued by Shinji after the now dying angel cuts off her support cable. The episode ends with Asuka, Shinji, and Misato in the hot springs, their respective gender sites. Asuka and Misato tease Shinji from the woman's side. Asuka shows up again after all of the power in Tokyo 3 is shut down. A new angel makes its way down to NERV headquarters, using corrosive acid to burn through everything. She, Shinji, and Rei arrives at NERV, but their ID cards won't work when they try to enter. While thinking of a plan to reach the others, Rei consults her emergency manual, with Shinji and Asuka doing the same. They realize they need to contact headquarters, and Asuka assigns herself as the leader. She commands Shinji to manually crank the doors open. Unfortunately, Asuka does not make a good leader and gets the Troy lost. Rei gets them on the right track by pointing out an air vent they can crawl through. Shinji asks the others what they think Angel's true motive are, but Asuka cuts him short. To her, if they are attacking, then they are an enemy. After leaving the air vent, Asuka again causes them to become lost. She leads them to the door that meets her face to face with the angel attacking NERV. She panics and slams the door shut. Rei then leads the group down the right path, which irritates Asuka. She accuses Rei of being the favored pilot, which the latter denies. They forcefully open the air vent that they need to crawl through. Asuka is in front of Shinji and demands he does not look forward. He looks forward to see where he is going and is kicked in the face multiple times by Asuka. The assault causes the air ducts to break, with Asuka and Shinji falling on the floor. They are reuniting with other NERV workers and get into their respective EVA units. Asuka comes up with a plan to take down the Angel, with one pilot defending the others from the corrosive acid and neutralizing its AT field. One will retrieve a gun for the last offense unit to shoot the Angel. Asuka shoots Rei's offer to be on the defense, giving that role herself. Rei retrieves the gun and Shinji fires the weapon. The plan works and they defeat the Angel. Shinji brings up the true nature of the Angels again, but Asuka disagrees with him, saying it's not important. Misato later receives a promotion, and a celebratory party is planned by Kensuke. Asuka takes it upon herself to invite guests to the party, including their classmate Hikari, Kaji, and Rei. Rei, however, turns down her invitation. Kaji arrives late to the party with Ritsuko, causing Asuka and Misato to become jealous. The following Angel arrives, extremely large and dangerous. It is hard to pinpoint precisely how to be it, but Misato comes up with a plan, being in charge of NERV for the time being. The Angel drops large pieces of its body to destroy the Earth, so she tells the pilot they will catch it and kills its body when it drops. Since this mission is risky, she asks him to write at will, which they all decline. When going to their units, Shinji inquires as to why Asuka pilots. She informs him that she wants to prove she can do something for the world. She asks him, and Shinji does not answer. Shinji is the first to catch the Angel and struggles to hold it until the girls join him. Rei exposes its core, and Asuka uses her progressive knife to stab it until it dies, via self-destruction. Asuka's next, more significant appearance is at school, wanting to get Kaji's attention. She calls him and leaves a prank message saying she is attacked by a pervert. Hikari asks her to go on a blind date with her sister's friend. Asuka agrees. Shinji is seen at their apartment, practicing the cello, when Asuka abruptly returns home. She applauds his playing, having rejected and leaving her date. Misato calls, telling Shinji that she will be late getting back from wedding. Asuka tells Shinji that Misato won't be back that night because she is out drinking with Kaji. She tells Shinji she is bored and asks if he wants to practice kissing with her. He hesitates to answer, which makes Asuka tease him about being scared. He tells her he isn't afraid, then is approached by her. Shinji does her reciprocate the kiss and gasps for breath when Asuka pulls away. Angry and ashamed that he didn't react, she storms into another room and screams that she should never kiss to pass the time. Kaji brings Misato home. Asuka tries asking him to stay, but he declines, saying he doesn't have a change of clothes for work. Asuka smells Misato's perfume on him and realizes they had been together, making it 2 times she was rejected in one night. She is again angered when the pilots undergo a synchronization test, and Shinji is the most successful. When the next Angel arrives, Asuka provokes Shinji to attack it on his own. This proves to be an almost fatal decision, and Unit 01 is sucked into the shadow below the Angel. Shinji is just barely recovered from the others and goes to the hospital. Rei becomes extremely angry at Asuka for berating Shinji earlier, because he almost died. Rei later visits Shinji in his hospital room, and he sees Asuka in the hallway, peering in at him. She quickly hides when she realizes he can't see her, embarrassed by her early action. As usual, when Shinji returns to school, he and Asuka continues to bicker constantly. Both get embarrassed and blush when Toji compares them to an old married couple. Unknown to them, Toji has been designated as the fourth child. To her annoyance, Asuka goes to Kaji's office to flirt with him and finds out about it. Unit 03 is being flown in for Toji to pilot. Asuka almost tells Shinji the news, but Unit 03 is infected en route and mutates into the next angel. This shocks her, and she stays silent on the matter. Shinji never finds out until after they defeat the angel, and he sees Toji inside of it. Asuka and Rei suffer severe injuries from this battle and are hospitalized. Shinji is scared by seeing his close friend badly damaged and almost leaves Tokyo 3. Before he can, the next angel arrives, and Asuka is sent to fight it. She attempts to use her rifles and rockets on it, but they do no damage. The angel slices Unit 2's arms off, which Asuka can feel due to synchronization. She charges her Eva at the angel, armless. Misato cuts the synchronization between Asuka and Unit 02 right before the angel slices its head off. Rei and Unit 00 also go in to fight, but are decapitated. This enrages Shinji, and he returns, taking out the angel in a berserk mode. The angel is torn apart and mutilated by Unit 01. Unit 02 is hindered by this battle, having its arm and head cut off. Asuka shows up a few episodes later, riding in an aircraft carrier with Kaji. She expresses her infatuation to him, but he brushes it off and tells her she is still a child. She attempts to flirt more and begs him to look at her, but he rejects her again. Asuka's backstory is revealed at this point. Her mother had been part of the experiment to put her soul into an EVA unit, but it was only partially successful. A fraction of her mind was absorbed into EVA, but most of it remained in her human body. Her mother recognized the doll as her daughter and only referred to the real Asuka as some girl. Young Asuka was devastated at no longer receiving her mother's attention and love, being forgotten. She would be ignored when she begged her mother to look at her. Her mother's doctor and Asuka's father began openly flirting and having an affair, leaving her mother to succumb to insanity. When she committed suicide, Asuka's father barely seemed to care. This hammered the idea in Asuka's head that she was replaced as soon as someone better came along. She attended the funeral but refused to cry or show any emotion. Asuka is still suffering from the last battle's mental and physical toll on her. Her fighting and synchronization continued dropping. Ritsuko noticed this and thinks that Unit 00 should be repaired before Unit 02 due to the pilot's mental states. Unaware that Kaji has been killed, Asuka tries to call his phone at the train station. To no avail. She feels desperate for attention and sees Shinji talking with Rei. She becomes incredibly jealous, later ignoring him and refusing to answer any phone calls from him. She takes a phone call from a stepmother, later at home, in which they speak German. They have a superficial conversation before Asuka hangs up. She informs Shinji that she doesn't honestly care for her stepmother, but doesn't hate her. She becomes angry at herself for telling him her personal life and feelings, then yells at Shinji. Later on, she takes a bath and convinces herself that she hates everyone: Shinji, Rei, Misato, her parents, and herself. She yells this out loud and Misato overhears it. Asuka's mental state only declines, and she scores worse and worse in her synchronization tests. Ritsuko and Misato discuss this, suggesting finding a replacement pilot for Unit 02. Misato somewhat defends Asuka, explaining their situation at home, but wonders if the three of them should live separately. Asuka and Rei enters the elevator alone and stands in silence before Rei speaks up. She tells Asuka that she needs to be more open with her EVA unit, and that all of them have human minds and souls inside of them. Feeling patronized, Asuka slaps Rei across the face, and they have a small argument. Asuka storms away in anger once the elevator door opens. The next angel appears, and the plan is to have Rei in front to shoot it with Asuka as a backup. She is no longer trusted to fight in battle, and replacing her is discussed. Asuka disobeys orders and takes the front, proving herself in the battle. Asuka is soon attacked by angels with something similar to AT Field, which forces its way into her mind. The move is excruciating, causing Asuka to scream in pain and wildly shooting her rifle everywhere. She misses the angel and begins destroying parts of Tokyo 3. The angel enters her mind and unearths repressed her memories. She remembers the pain from having her mother not recognize her when she was a child. Despite begging, her mother never acknowledged her as her daughter ever again. Memories of her arrogant interaction with others people causes her pain. She tries to convince herself that it isn't her true self and that it is a facade, and she needs to feel wanted by someone. She becomes lost in a sea of people and sees Kaji in the distance. She begins to reach for him, but remembers that he belongs to Misato, and he tells Asuka that she is just a child. Shinji appears in her mind as well, which infuriates her. She demands to know why he is there when he's never made an attempt to become closer to her. She accuses him of not caring about her and saying he would probably never hold her either. Her mind fights between trying to convince herself that she doesn't need him anymore and realizing that she desires attention from those around her. She screams out in pain from the mental distress. Her physical vitals begin to slow down and she needs to be assisted. Gendo refuses to send in Unit 01 and sends Unit 00 instead. Using the Spear of Longius, Rei and Unit 00 defeat the angel. Asuka is recovered and brought back to Nerve. Shinji attempts to comfort her, but she recoils and becomes angry at being physically touched by him. Knowing that Rei was the one who saved her pushes her mental capacity closer to the edge. Asuka sinks into an even deeper depression and leaves the apartment. She stays at Hikara's house and skips school. She confides in her that she feels useless. Asuka spends a lot of time crying, and Hikara tries to comfort her, but isn't highly concerned for her. When the next angel arrives, Asuka is sent out to fight. Her depression makes her unable to sync with Unit 02, and she is withdrawn from battle. Rei also struggles to fight this angel, and Gendo commands Unit 01 to be sent in to rescue her. Asuka remembers that he refused to send Unit 01 in to save her, which hits her even harder, and her depression becomes worse. The next episode starts with a flashback of a 4-year-old Asuka excitedly running to tell her mother that she had been chosen to be an Evangeline pilot. She finds her mother dead, having hanged herself, and the doll that her mother treated as her own daughter was also hanged. The happiest moment of Asuka's life at that point became the most traumatizing. In the real world, Shinji informs Asuka of Kaji's death. Out of shock, she slaps him across the face. Distress, Asuka runs far away and hides in a dilapidated house. She lays down in a bathtub, bare, and mentally gives up on life. She decides to wait for death. There's no point in living if she cannot pilot her Eva. It is implied she attempts suicide due to the water appearing red. A Nerve agent eventually finds her and returns her to headquarters. Kawaro has made his appearance and takes over as Unit 02's pilot since Asuka cannot. Unit 02's soul has withdrawn after Asuka's psychological trauma, and Kawaro can pilot it with no equipment. Shinji is forced to fight Unit 02 and silently apologize to Asuka before taking it out. When the Human Instrumentality project begins, each pilot struggles with their own mental state. Asuka appears to Shinji and tells him he only pilots his Eva for himself, looking for any happiness even if it's fake. Rei also informs Asuka she is no different from Shinji. Asuka is seen inside of a submerged Unit 02. She laments and claims that she was forced to pilot it, not chosen. She calls it a piece of junk, convinced that it is useless because she is worthless and unwanted by anyone. A younger version of Asuka is seen talking to Rei, When asked, Asuka tells Rei that she pilots Eva to praise herself. When Shinji asks Asuka what she wants in her life, her answer is somewhat complicated. She tells him that she wants to live by herself and not cry, but constantly cries. She didn't want her mother to abandon her and believed her mother was happy to die. Her hanged body and her doll being hanged were found with a smile on her face. Asuka doesn't want to die and vanish, but she hates everyone and is alone. Like Shinji, Misato, and Rei, she is afraid of unloved. The end of Evangelion continues with Asuka being in a coma after being found in a bathtub. Shinji visits her in the hospital and begs her to wake up and help him. Everyone is aware of a scene that I'm sure you're expecting us to discuss in this video, and you already know what it is, so let's move on. NERV headquarters is assaulted by the Japanese Strategic Self-Defense Force, with the intent to kill all of the pilots. Misato takes Asuka's unconscious body and hits her inside Unit 02, and Eva is hidden underwater in the Geofront Lake. Asuka wakes up from her coma and is shaken by the JSSDF exploding charges nearby. She reveals that she doesn't want to die and keeps living. Another voice inside of Eva encouraged her to keep living as well. At this moment, Asuka realized her mother's voice, that her mother has been protecting her all this time. She fights back against the JSSDF with renewed energy. Unfortunately, her Eva is unplugged, and Misato radios her that she will receive backup soon. Asuka gives herself 20 seconds of power left to defeat as many of the mask manufacturer Eva units as she can. She successfully takes out all 9 of her attackers. This happiness is short-lived when Unit 02 is struck by a spear that turns into a replica of Lance of Longus. It is pierced through Eva's eyes, causing Asuka extreme pain as she can feel it. Unit 02's power finally runs out and collapses. The manufacturer Eva units rise and descend onto Unit 02, attacking it and tearing apart its body. The innards are torn out and it bleeds out heavily. Asuka uses her last strength and drive to activate the Berserk mode with willpower. It is successful, but as she reaches out her foes, the lance slices both Unit 02's arms off. The manufacturer Eva units attack Asuka again with multiple lances, and completely obliterate her and Unit 01. The manufacturer Eva units attack Asuka again with multiple lances, and completely obliterate her and Unit 02. Shinji is informed of Asuka's fate, and he is soon circled by manufacturer Eva units. He can also see Unit 02's corpse down below where he stands. Asuka and Unit 02 are dead when Rei asks Shinji about his wish for humanity's fate. Shinji has multiple visions of memory with Asuka, both natural and fake. The uncertainty of their relationship changes his images of her. He sees himself in a relationship with her, but they still argue. Asuka tells Shinji that she does not want to be with him if he is entirely hers. He tells her that she is the only person he wants to be with forever. She calls him a liar, stating he will be with anyone who gives him attention and doesn't care who it is. She aggressively shoves him, knocking him into the kitchen counter. A pot of scalding hot coffee breaks on him, and he tosses the kitchen furniture out of his way. He walks over to her and begs her to help him. When Asuka refuses, he grasps her by the neck and strangles her, lifting her feet from the ground. Shinji initially wishes for humanity to end, but visions of a happy Asuka and Rei changes his mind. He wishes for humans to continue living, and it is granted. The earth has become a desolate wasteland, surrounded by lakes of LCL. He regains his human form and sees Asuka lying on the ground, also human. Remembering all of the grief she caused him, she grasps her neck and begins strangling her. Her hand moves up, and instead of slapping him, she merely caresses his face. This causes Shinji to let go, and he begins sobbing. Asuka seems emotionless, staring at the sky, and then at Shinji. The last words were spoken by her in the anime are disgusting, or I feel sick. Depending on the translation. Asuka's appearance in the rebuild movies is highly different from the original anime. We will go over that vision of her in another video. She has many small changes in the manga, but is generally the same. She is calmer than her anime counterpart, and has blonde hair instead of auburn hair. Shinji's initial encounter with her is entirely different. He and the other boys encounter her at the arcade and watch her trying to win a prize from a crane game. She demands they pay a fee for spying on her and bumps into a gang member while arguing with Choji. When the gang attempts to fight her, Asuka takes down every gang member with no help from anyone else. Shinji is not aware she is Asuka until they meet again later at NERV. During their training on becoming synchronized, they live together in one room with a hidden camera rather than being with Misato. Asuka's backstory was also changed significantly. Her parents were unable to conceive a child and eventually divorced. Her father married another woman and was successful with having a child. Asuka's mother chose artificial insemination to have a baby. Asuka's biological father is never seen, and Asuka has never seen him. Due to this, she feels as if she isn't a real human and inferior to others. Her mother has strangled Asuka sometime in her life before committing suicide. Most of her mother's memory were repressed, and the angel attacks that unearthed them made it more traumatic. The end of Evangeline's scene in the hospital was changed to Shinji shouting at Asuka to torment her. He says the girl lying on the bed isn't what he wants. Asuka is woken up by this and angrily strangles Shinji. The hospital staff has to separate them, leading Shinji away as Asuka screams that she hates everyone. The fight between the manufacturer Eva units is changed to Shinji arriving in time to save her. Unit 01 is instead taken down. As the third impact occurs, she sees a vision of Kaji before turning into LCL. This makes her believe she was the person that loved her the most. The world goes back to normal after Shinji wishes for it. He and Asuka has no memory of each other, but re-encounter each other. Asuka is having trouble departing from an overcrowded train, and Shinji reaches out to help her, and they introduce themselves. They go their separate ways, feeling deja vu. In Evangeline Anima, 3 years after the conclusion, Asuka has more self-esteem and is not as worried about winning or how others sees her. She makes a journey to the moon and comes across the Ark, an archive for genetic information of every living organism in history. All of the data ends up fusing Asuka and Unit 02 together into an Evangeline human hybrid. In this form, she behaves like a curious child, but can change back eventually. She has a much better relationship with every character in the story, including Rei. She has moved past her crush on Kaji. In both Angelic Days and Shinji Ikari Rising Project, she is portrayed as Shinji's childhood friend that has a crush on him. When Rei come along, both of the girls bicker for his attention. In Neon Genesis Evangelion and Gakken Datenroku, Asuka's character is primarily the same. She is an artificially created child, similar to Rei and Kaoru. When Angel precedes her mother's body, Asuka was forced to kill her and hated Angels due to this. She still accepts and is friends with Kaoru after being revealed as an angel. In this version, she is good friends with Rei. She appears in numerous other forms of media, and for those, she stays Asuka for the most part. Hot-headed, jealous of other girls, proud, and secretly wanting affection from Shinji. Asuka can seem like a shallow character unless you become invested in the story. Her angry facet is a cover for her despair after losing her mother and feeling like she is entirely alone. Her father married a new woman, making Asuka feel like an outcast. She has trouble saying what she wants and get frustrated when others don't know what is inside her mind. Despite being talkative, she keeps the most essential thoughts hidden inside her. Although not shown extensively, there are scenes of her room being a destroyed mess with broken belongings, implying she breaks things to vent her anger.
She constantly feels like she has to show off to gain praise from others, and is jealous when anyone else does better than her or gets attention. She doesn't want to be seen as a child and tries to force herself to grow up quickly, seen when she flirts with Kanji and Shinji. Other girls getting attention make her feel inferior and becomes incredibly jealous. Even though she would never admit it, she is attracted to Shinji the way he is. Her bossy and domination personality shy him away from her, which she finds frustrating.
Now that we've gone over her history and personality, let's look at her appearance. Hopefully she doesn't think we're judging her. Asuka is unique, part German, part Japanese, and part American. She was raised in German, but can speak fluent Japanese. She is pale and thin, although not as pale as Rei. She has large blue eyes and auburn hair. Her hairstyle is different. It is down in the back, but the sides have a messy pigtails that blend in. The hair clip accessory from her plug suits are used for those. She does not have the appearance of a typical Japanese character. Her two main outfits are her school uniform and plug suit. Her school uniform is the same as the other girls, a navy blue vest and skirt over a white shirt, with a red bow on the collar. She wears long white socks with black Mary Jane shoes. Her plug suit is entirely red, with black running down the arms. There is a green collar design across her sternum, and the numbers 002 are above her chest. Asuka is incredibly skilled in combat and can pilot her Eva well. Initially, she does not see it as anything more than a giant mech to battle angels. When she learns her mother's soul is inside of it, she becomes even more robust and fights to her death. She could take down an enemy solo most of the time, but would put herself at risk. That's quite a backstory for Asuka. There are some more interesting facts about her that we'll go over now. She is fluent in German, English, and Japanese, of multiple nationalities. She is brilliant, graduation college at 13-year-old. Her ego likely comes from all of these, including being athletic, attractive, and a perfectionist. She has also trained for years to be an Evangelion pilot. It makes sense now that she would be jealous of Shinji for doing well as a new pilot. Last but not least, her favorite saying is, "What are you, stupid?" Thank you all for indulging yourself in all of this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestial has got you covered. Our We the Celestial, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Secondly, I'd like to thank everyone involved in producing today's excellent content on behalf of We the Celestials. Details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at the We Celestials, then I'd like to extend you an invitation to join the team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from 16 years and up to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the Recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us today's video. So thank you all for watching, and have a great day.